friends, this is Kate from Kate's Crafting Corner. It is March 6th and I am here to do a March WIPGO update. Originally, according to my plans, I would have filmed this at the end of February, but if you watched my last update video, I talked about why I wasn't able to do that. So I'm here now to do this update and talk about, okay, basically I've only completed 3 squares on my 4 WIPGO boards. So there is a lot to be done. I don't know how much is going to get done this month because it is the last month of this term of the Harry Potter knitting and crochet thing that I do, and then next month is a break month in which I hope to catch up on all of my WIPGO boards. But I feel a return of the stitchy bug that has been kind of MIA for about a year. I've been doing a lot more knitting in that time, so I'm really enjoying just doing some cross stitch lately. But anyway, so without further ado, here are my WIPGO boards in my planner. So for my cross stitch, which is on this board side, I talked about my plan was to work for 1 stitching session on them and then revisit them each month until they are completed. I've only revisited Cottage of the Month series each month, and so for these 3 I need to do 2 stitching sessions, and then the ones from this month I need to do 1 stitching session. So that's how I'm going to kind of catch up with that. I have done nothing on my knitting WIPGO, nothing on my crochet WIPGO, and I've only read 1 book. I'm halfway through another one, but that is all that has been done for that. So I'm hoping to maybe catch up on my reading WIPGO because I can put on audiobooks. Last month during February, that's when my uncle passed away and I spent a lot of time down in Fresno. So I only listened to 3 books. I think like 2 of them were from before he passed away, and then 1 was after, at the end of the month. But I also watched a lot of the Winter Olympics. I watched probably like 25 to 30 curling matches, and I watched every single biathlon event, and I watched a good half, probably not as much as half, of the figure skating. I'm kind of disappointed I didn't watch more because I love figure skating. There was just so much drama surrounding it that I didn't feel the pull to watch it as much, and I love curling. And basically the only time I really get to watch curling is during the Olympics. So, yeah, so I really enjoyed watching that. Hang on, wait, why do I feel like I'm missing a project over there? Hang on, sorry, let me figure this out really quick. Okay. Sorry, I probably should, okay, because I am missing a project over there. Jeez Louise, this one belongs over here. Sorry, on camera organization happening. Okay, let me pause this and go get the one I'm missing, otherwise it's gonna annoy me. Okay, I'm back. So then I immediately dropped something. Okay, so yeah, I watched a ton of the Olympics, and then the whole Ukraine-Russia thing happened, and I've basically been glued to the news watching that. It's just so heartbreaking. So yeah, I have not made time to listen to books. So anyways, I'm hoping to really catch up on my reading one this month, with the exception probably of 1 book, and I'll talk about that when we get there. So let's start with the cross stitch. Okay, so from January, I had called Gloria from Mill Hill, and that's what she's like. All I've got left to do on her is the beading. So this one should be an easy one to finish. I just need to buckle down and do it. Beading does take a long time because I feel like you're basically doing every single stitch twice. You come up, you go through the bead, you go down. You come up, you go through the bead, you go back down. So you're crossing through the bead twice and you're coming up and down twice. So to me, it feels like basically you're doing 2 stitches for every bead. So it just takes a long time. So that is my Mill Hill. I need to do 2 stitching sessions on her to be caught up with my WIPGO board, because I didn't work on her at all in February and I haven't worked on her yet in March. I did work on her in January. My goal for this one is to have her finished by the time, by the time my parents come back in June. They're either coming in June or July, like at the end of June. So yeah, I want to have her finished by the time they come back. The next one is the Cottage of the month, and I have worked on this every single month. And this one is kind of my focus project. So I'm in this group called the Daily 30 Cross Stitch Journal or something like that. And every week there's a new set of prompts, and one of the prompts is for 5 days to work 30 minutes on a project. And so I've chosen this series for that 30 minutes a day. I'm actually doing about 100 stitch. I'll do 100 stitches. So usually that takes closer to an hour, but I fit it into other challenges easier that way when I break it into 100 stitches as opposed to 30 minutes. So right now I am working on the May Cottage, and I am pretty close to being done. So I'm hoping maybe to finish this one this week or the beginning of next week. And after that, I will move on to the June Cottage, because I really want to finish this series this year. So this is what the June Cottage will look like when it's done. And here is where I am on that one right now. So pretty decent. I've gotten the house done, and so now it's just the extras. So, yeah, so maybe this month I'll be able to finish both May and June. That would be super awesome. And then once I finish all of these, I will pick the next closest to being done for my Cross Stitch WIPGO and do that for the 30 minutes a day projects. So that's just kind of how I'm planning on tackling my Cross Stitch WIPGOs, because I want to get some stuff done. Then we go to February. I've not worked on them, so each of these are going to get 2 sessions. So first one is Christmas by the Letter from Lizzie Kate. This is what it will look like when it's done. I really like this one. I love this little cottage over here, and then down at the bottom the stockings hanging by the fireplace. I think that's so cute. This one is so quick to work on. So here is where I am at on this. So I'm almost done with, did I finish this one yet? Oh, I'm almost done with filling in this box for E, and then I will have finished these 2. So then I'll move on to the 2 R's, Remember and Rejoice. And these are really quick to do. So, yeah, so this is Christmas by the Letter. I need to do 2 sessions on that this month if I were to get caught up. The next one is Afternoon in London from Country Cottage Needleworks. I don't think I have all the colors to this one, so I still need to order a couple, but I really like this one, and I like the whole series, so I'd like to eventually get the others. This is what this one looks like. One of my sisters just recently moved to London, so That's not to say I'm going to give her this. It's just saying that them both there. And this is all I've done on that. So a few clouds you can see and part of the bus. So now we come to March, and the two that were drawn for this need one session to be able to have caught this month. So the first one is Class Schedule. This was a stitch along from Armada Designs several years ago. I've done bits and pieces on most of them. I'm almost done with the top row of the classes. So just keep working on it. I think the herbology block that I'm working on right now is one of the most annoying. And there's a lot of backstitch on this one, and I'm not the biggest fan of backstitch, so I just have to make myself work on it. So I need one session on that. And then the last one was another Lizzie Kate, and that is Halloween Rules. This is what it will look like when it is done. And here is what I have done on it. So here's where I am. So a good portion done. Still a lot more to do, but this one is really fun to work on. I'm almost done with this block. So that's the one with the owls. Stay up late. So that's where I am on that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I will have done 6 of the rules. I think there are 12 rules. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yep, 12 rules. So I will be over halfway done when I finish this block. Because, I mean, that doesn't count the header one, which is like a whole border in itself. On film. Oh no. Hang on. Sorry about that. My husband came up holding these socks that I just recently finished, and he was holding it in such a way that I thought that this was a hole or something like that, because I'd heard him telling one of the boys he'd been a naughty boy. So I thought there was a hole in the sock, and I don't know how to fix holes. So thank goodness, no hole. The socks are fine. But he had to have climbed up on the table to get those, which is naughty. So, okay, anyways, those are my cross stitch projects. In order to get all the way caught up, I would need to do 8 stitching sessions on those. I don't think I'll be able to do that, considering I need to work on some more knitting stuff. So we will see what, if any, gets done, but that's that. Okay, moving on to my knitting WIPGO board, which I have not done any squares. I will start from January. So the first one for January was my Starflake shawl, and this is where I am at on that. I will see if I can find a picture of someone's finished Starflake, like the designer's finished Starflake shawl, so that you can see what this one is supposed to look like, because I mean, it seems like something right now, but it's barely anything compared to what it's gonna look like. So actually this is even just the bottom. It's supposed to be in this direction, but it's harder to hold up and show that way. Anyways, so there are 6 pieces like this that are all together. I would like to call this piece complete, have finished the 6. I need to make like mini goals because just I felt a sneeze coming. I still feel it, but it's not coming. Anyways, to just say one session, I mean, that's like, you could do anything. So I would kind of like to finish all 6 of the parallelograms, I think. Anyways, so that is Starflake MCal from Stephen West. The next one for January was the 2020 Advent socks. I am doing these 2 at a time. Here is where I am for them. And so to call this square complete, I want to do their heels. That's where I'm at on this project, is the heels. So I would like to do the heels in order to call them done. I maybe should do the decreases too, but we'll think about that at a later stage. At least the heels. Then we move to February. So the first one is my Nocturne Alley Habitation blanket. This is from an Advent from about 3 years ago. And it's just a blanket. I need to review the pattern, try to remember how it goes and where I'm at on it. But so in here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 colors that are ready to go. Or I need to learn to count. There's only 4 ready to go. So I'd like to finish I'd like to have done at least 3 colors on here. So I've done 1.5. So I'd like to finish through color 3 to call this one complete. I should probably be writing these down, but I'm not. Maybe I'll write them down as I'm editing the video. So, the second one that was called for February is my Halloween socks. So, I've got 1 sock done. This is what it looks like. And, this is where I am at on the second sock. So my goal for the Halloween sock to call the square complete will be to finish the leg. So when you compare it here, I've got another 3 rounds of the green. So to get through to 3 more rounds of the green. So this is the start of the first, and then I started the heel. Okay, so actually to finish 4th, trying to figure out what I did here. Anyways, I think it's into the, I think I did 2 rounds of the green and then I started the heel. So that's what I would like to do and get to on this Halloween sock, which theoretically I could do that in a day if I just buckle down and work on it. The next one that was called for is another Advent calendar, and it is my Gilmore Girls Advent calendar, the Quest pattern. So this is one where you roll dice to determine which of the patterns you're doing. It's supposed to be like an adventure shawl. So far I've done one part and one travel piece. So you can see it's kind of reversible because the travel piece is brioche with the current color and then the next color. And that's how it transitions then to the next color. So to call this one complete, I'd like to do two colors. So just like I'm going to try to do 2 colors on the habitation throw, I'd like to do 2 colors on this. Both of them would get to then through 3 colors. So those are my goals for the Knitting WIPGO. I'm not going to be able to catch up with that this month, but I am hoping to catch up on all my WIPGOs in April. I was about to move on to crochet, but I've actually got one more. So the last one that was called was my sister Kirstin's socks. I think the last time I tried to show this on an update video, I did not have sock blockers in the small size. My sister has very small feet. And so I wasn't able to show it properly. Now I can show it on the sock blocker and you can better see this cable. And it's so pretty. I really love these socks. I love the color yarn. I'm kind of sad she chose it because I can't use it for myself, but these are fantastic and I need to finish this. I also need to finish my nephew Hayden's so I can get them in the mail. They live in London. No. I'm going to take a sip and then we'll move on to crochet. So what's been interesting about my Crochet WIPGO so far is each month I've had a bigger blanket type of project called and a smaller one using my lacy Little Favorites by Rhea yarn. So it's kind of really cool in that way. So for January, the first one called, that was the blanket one, is Charlotte's Universe. I started this, I think, in August. I chose the colors myself and I love how it looks. But then it was really hot and I stopped working on it because starting a heavyweight blanket in Northern California in the summer is not smart. It is like 100 plus here during those times. And it's hot, but I love how this looks. I just need to work on it some more before the weather starts to heat up again. So I'd really like to finish this part as my goal for this project. The lacier one that was called is actually, it is a blanket. And it's called the Virus blanket. And it's a simple repeating pattern that just goes around and around. And this is super lightweight and very drapey. And this is a cake that looks like summertime. This was actually a July club cake. So the heavyweight one that was called for February. Oh, so what would I like to do for this one as a goal? I'd like to work through at least one more color change. It depends on how long till the color change comes. So if it comes soon, then do one more. If it takes a while, then just do the one color change. So that's my goal for this. The big one for February is an Afghan I started for my husband. It's a Sophie's Universe. I have 3 Sophie's Universes going. They are all in very different colors. And so this is one I am doing for my husband. Let me stand up and back up. Oops. And see. Oh, yeah, you can get all that in the frame. So, probably the last time I can get all of it in the frame. I started this when we were still just dating. And he revealed to me he does not love the color green. And I didn't know that when I started it. And it's kind of discouraging to work on something that, you know, someone doesn't love the colors on. But I love the colors, so I think I should still just keep going. I don't know if you can hear Rosie's high-pitched little barks. She has the highest pitched little bark. Anyways, so I'm at the point where rounds are taking a couple of hours to do. So, I'm not positive which round I'm on. I mean, I can easily look at the pattern to figure it out. But so I'd like to finish five rounds. Let's say 5 rounds. The next one, the lightweight one for February, is my Lydia Shawl. And this is an easy repeat pattern. Very lightweight. This is the yarn. And I think I stopped working on it because I got bored. Because it just repeats. But it's a super simple pattern. I think it might even be just a 2-round repeat. So I want to work on this. Let's look in here till the next color change. Yeah, I'll work on this till the next color change. So this is one that could be quick and brainless to work on. Which brings us to February, in which the second of my 3 Sophie's Universes was called. This one is for my parents, and I called this one Delft Sophie because the color reminds me of Delft China from Holland, the Netherlands. My mom collects it, and so, yeah. I think I'm basically at the same point on this one as I am on my husband's. Because I was looking at these little puffs on his, so I think they're basically at the same point. So this one is theirs. This is actually the first one I started. My mom in particular, asks about it all the time, so I really do need to work on it. I bought the pattern book because this is a free crochet along, but you can buy the pattern as a book. I got it at Joann's, but I want to have the binding cut off and then have it spiral bound so I can easily flip to the page. So I can easily flip to the page that the pattern is on and lay it flat and be able to work on it like that. Let me pause this and grab that book real quick so I can show you. Okay, so here's the book, Sophie's Universe. And you can find it on the designer's website. But there are a ton of great pictures there too. But there are a ton of fantastic pictures to show you each step by step. And I'd like to be able to have this just laying in front of me, but as you can see, it doesn't really want to stay open to lie flat, which is why I want to have the binding cut off, spiral bound, and be able to use it. You can see here a picture of it on her lap. Here it is held out. So it's a really beautiful blanket. I still have so far to go on it. I'm trying to see if I can see on here where I am at. I think maybe those are, no, that's too far, I think. These might be the puffs I'm at over here. I don't know. I still have a long ways to go. But yeah. So I want to do another 5 rounds on my parents' one to say I've reached the goal. It is taking at least 2 to 3 hours per round, so it's taking a long time. The smaller one that was called is one I started a long time ago, and it's called Charming Rose Shells Blanket. And I need to look up this pattern again to see what I was doing, because the pattern is actually calling for 2 yarns, but I've only got 1, and I'm so close to being done. I wanted this as like a little baby blanket for a little girl baby. So my goal is I really want to finish this. So to call this square complete, I'm going to say I want this to be complete. So, yeah, that is going to be my goal. And those are all my crafty WIPGOs. Now I have got 5 books I need to read. I am halfway through with one that I am reading, like physically reading, not listening to. And that is Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. So that was my January, it was a January call, and I need to finish that. I did read A Clockwork Orange, which was the other January call, and I seriously don't know that I have ever despised a book as much as I hated that one. I hated it so much that I really wanted to stop reading it, except for it was my WIPGO call. So I forced myself to finish it, but I hated it. I hated it so much. Like, I cannot express enough how much I hated it. If I could negative review it, I would have done that. Like, in terms of stars, I gave it a 1 star because you're forced to give at least 1 star. But I would have given like negative 10 stars if I could have. I hated it. So yeah, that's my thoughts on A Clockwork Orange. For February, we had Sense and Sensibility, that was called, and I am going to be reading that with my mom and sisters. My mom got us annotated editions of 3 Jane Austen books as a Christmas present. So we got Pride and Prejudice, Sense and Sensibility, and Emma. And I plan on reading all 3 of those this year. And we were going to read that in February. My mom and my sisters and I. However, my uncle passed and that just got pushed. So then we mentioned doing it this month, but I don't think any of us started, so I'm going to suggest it for next month. Oops. The other one that was called for February is The Kite Runner. I read this book in college and I loved it. I loved it a lot. However, it was really emotional and hard to get through. And so even though I loved it, I haven't read it since. And I bought his other books, but I've never read those either. And I assume that they are going to be as equally well written and emotional. But I just have to will myself to read it again because I know I really did like that book. So I need to read that one. Then the 2 that were called for March are Anna Karenina. Now let me tell you the story about Anna Karenina. My junior and senior year of high school. We had to read 1,000 pages of classical literature a quarter. Now that might not seem like a big deal, but when you are taking AP courses and a bunch of other college work, and the dorm mom in your boarding school requires lights out, like all the way lights out, not in your room and quiet, but lights out and you in bed by 10 p.m., and you're trying to finish all your other schoolwork and study for the SATs and AP classes and your after-school extracurriculars. The 1,000 pages a quarter of classical literature is not your highest priority, because you just push it, because it's not like, but anyways. And to test us that we actually read our 1,000 pages, we had to do an oral one-on-one with the teacher. I mean, we went to a very small school. There was only 28 people in my graduating class. Like all of the seniors, there's only 28 of us. So doing a one-on-one each quarter with each of your students in the junior and senior year was not as big of a deal as it might be in other schools. I picked Anna Karenina because I knew it was her favorite book. I don't know why I did that. That feels really stupid, like in hindsight, that I would pick her favorite book, especially since I did not finish it. I think I still had 250-ish pages by the time I had to do my oral report with her. However, she loved it so much, she talked most of the time during the oral thing, and she would ask me how I thought about things, and I basically faked it the whole time based off of what she had said. And it worked out. But so I have never finished Anna Karenina. And so I want to do it. I want to finish it. Even though I did not like the character of Anna, I did not agree with most of her life decisions, I still would like to finish it. So that's why I put it on this WIPGO board, so I could finally, after this would be 15 years, 16 years, say that I've finished Anna Karenina. Like I should have done, I think that was my junior year. The other book that got chosen is The Lovely Bones. I watched this movie, so I know the basic premise. I watched it when it first came out, and I haven't watched it again since then. But it's a genre I read a lot of, and so I'd like to read the book. So that's why it was on my WIPGO board, and that's why I'm going to listen to it. So those are my WIPGO boards and my basic goals. I will obviously not be caught up at the end of March, but I am hoping to come back around the 28th to the 30th of this month, film another update, show you where I got to, and do a preview of the April draws. So, without further, I should add this caveat. If you watched my video yesterday, you will know that Gracie is pregnant again and due in about 2 to 3 weeks. So, while I say these lofty goals, by the time the puppies hit about 1 month old, they are active, and I never have as much craft time as I think I will. So, those were the goals. I doubt I will reach them, but I like to make them anyways. It makes me happy. So, without further ado, I'm going to close off this video, get it edited and uploaded. While I am editing, I was asked about a giveaway from my Christmas vlog, but everything has been chaotic this year. So while it's uploading, I will be going through all of my Vlogmas videos, writing down comments and entering them. Originally, I was going to make up the little squares and physically draw the names out, but instead I'm going to make the 2 lists for the knitting or yarn giveaway and then the cross stitch one, and I'll just make my lists numbered, and then I will draw a random number using a random number. So I'll make like a 1 to 2 minute long video for that and get that uploaded tonight. So we should have some winners, and I will try to get those prizes out in the mail when I can. I will talk to you guys later. Bye.